If a man can go days without talking to you, I need you to listen to me carefully and understand this clearly. That is not just because he is busy. That is not always because he is stressed. That is not simply because he is dealing with something and needs space. Sometimes silence itself is a message. And the reason it hurts so deeply is because somewhere inside you already understand what that silence is saying. You are sitting there looking at your phone again and again, checking if he has replied. You are replaying your last conversation in your mind, wondering if you said too much, wondering if you should have said something different, wondering if maybe you pushed him away. Meanwhile, he is continuing with his life as if your absence does not affect him at all. And the hardest part is that the more you chase him, the more you show him that you are willing to accept less than you deserve. Today, I want to tell you exactly what to do when a man disappears. Not so you can play games with him, but so you can protect your peace, understand your value, and stop allowing someone else's silence to control your emotions. When you stop chasing, he finally has the chance to feel your absence instead of always feeling your effort. Let me tell you something that may hurt a little, but accepting it can save you years of confusion and heartbreak. When a man can go days without talking to you, it is usually not an accident. It is not always confusion. It is not some impossible mystery about how men think that you need to spend endless time trying to solve. At some point, his actions are showing you a choice he is making. The reason you feel so much pain is because your heart is trying to hold on while your mind is noticing the truth. Deep down, your spirit recognizes what is happening, but your emotions keep searching for another explanation. You keep hoping for a reason that makes the situation easier to accept. The hardest thing for many women is accepting that a man's silence can also be an answer. Because once you accept that, you have to stop waiting for a message that may not come. You have to stop checking your phone every few minutes, hoping his name appears. You have to stop creating a relationship inside your imagination while he is showing you a completely different reality. You need to understand something important. A grown man makes choices based on what matters to him. If he wants to call you, he will find a way to call you. If he wants to send a message, he will make the effort. If he wants to spend time with you, he will create that opportunity. If he wants you to feel important in his life, his actions will make you feel secure. And when someone does not make that effort, they often leave you feeling confused and uncertain. Uncertainty becomes the place where someone can keep you close without actually giving you commitment. They can receive your attention, your care, and your emotional support without having to provide the same level of effort in return. I know some of you are already trying to explain his behavior. You are saying, but he works a lot. You are saying, but he has pressure in his life. You are saying, maybe he is just not someone who likes texting. You are saying, maybe he has been hurt before and that is why he acts this way. Listen carefully. A person can have responsibilities. A person can have stress. A person can have a difficult past. But when someone truly values you, they still find ways to show consistency. They still communicate. They still make you feel like you matter. The issue is not always that he is busy. The deeper issue is whether you are receiving the effort of someone who truly wants to build something with you. And I am not saying this to make you feel bad. I am saying it because too many people confuse someone's potential with their actual behavior. You start falling in love with the person you believe he can become instead of accepting the person he is showing you today. You become attached to the version of him that appears for a few days, says all the right things, makes you feel special, and then disappears again. You become emotionally connected to someone who gives you just enough attention to keep your hope alive, but not enough consistency to make you feel safe. And that type of connection can become exhausting because you are always waiting for the next moment when he will finally become the person you believe he can be. Let me explain why this is dangerous. When you experience the same pattern over and over, your mind can begin to accept things that should not feel normal. You start calling small efforts love. You start calling silence space. You start calling inconsistency complicated. You start calling hurtful behavior miscommunication. Before you realize it, you are in a situation where you are doing all the emotional work. You are the one starting conversations. You are the one trying to fix problems. You are the one forgiving again and again. You are the one making excuses and trying to understand everything. Meanwhile, he continues doing whatever feels comfortable for him. That is not a balanced connection. That is you constantly trying to prove that you are worthy of being chosen by someone who should already recognize your value. Here is a truth that many people avoid saying. If a man can go days without talking to you, it may mean he is not worried about losing access to you. And that hurts because you are sitting there afraid of losing him. You are afraid that if you ask for more, he will walk away. You are afraid that if you express your feelings, he will become distant. So instead, you become smaller, you become quieter, you pretend that everything is okay, you act like you do not care, even though inside you are feeling hurt and confused. You try to appear easygoing because you think asking for what you need might push him away. But remember this, the more you tolerate, the more you teach people what treatment you will accept. Every time you ignore a pattern that hurts you, you send a message that the behavior can continue. Every time you accept a late response without any effort to reconnect, you show him that disappearing has no consequences. Every time you send another message after being ignored, you show him that you will continue reaching out. Every time you pretend that inconsistency does not bother you, you teach him that your needs can be placed aside. Every time you remain available while he chooses to be unavailable, you allow someone to have access to you without giving you the security and respect you deserve. And understand this. People often value what they know they cannot take for granted. People protect what they truly appreciate. People make changes when they understand something important could be lost. But if someone knows they can leave, return whenever they want, and still receive the same attention from you, there is no reason for them to change their behavior. That does not mean every person who disappears is a bad person. It means people often continue patterns that they are allowed to continue. You cannot keep accepting something that hurts you and expect it to magically stop on its own. Now, I want you to honestly look at yourself for a moment. Ask yourself a difficult but important question. Why are you still giving so much emotional energy to someone who has shown you that your presence is not always a priority? Do not ask yourself this question to blame yourself. Ask it because the answer may reveal something deeper that needs your attention. Sometimes we hold on to people because we are trying to heal an old pain through them. For some people, it is the fear of abandonment. You are trying to prove that you are someone worth staying for. You are trying to convince another person not to leave because somewhere inside you are afraid that being left means you were not enough. For others, it may be the need for validation. You want him to choose you because his choice feels like proof that you are valuable. You want him to finally give you the love and attention you have been hoping for because you believe that moment will make all the waiting worth it. But your worth does not come from someone else's ability to recognize it. Your value does not increase because someone finally decides to give you attention. The right person will not make you constantly question where you stand. A healthy connection does not require you to beg for basic communication. It does not require you to constantly wonder if you matter. It does not require you to silence your feelings just to keep someone around. The moment you stop chasing someone who is choosing distance, you create space for clarity. You begin to see the situation without the fear and emotions covering your eyes. You start noticing actions instead of only listening to promises, because words can be beautiful, but actions reveal the truth. Someone can say they care about you, but their consistency will show you how much they truly value the connection. So if he disappears, do not panic. Do not immediately assume you did something wrong. Do not rush to fix a situation that someone else is choosing not to address. Give yourself the same love, patience, and attention that you have been trying so hard to give him. Let his actions speak. Let his efforts speak. Let his choices show you where you truly stand. Because the person who is meant to have a place in your life will not make you feel like you are constantly fighting for that place. The person who truly wants you will not need to be convinced to show up. Your peace is too valuable to sacrifice for someone who only remembers your importance when it is convenient for them. You deserve a connection where communication is natural, effort is mutual, and love does not leave you feeling alone. Expect consistency. And I need you to stop telling yourself that you are asking for too much when the truth is that you may be asking the wrong person. Because when you are with the right man, you do not have to beg for attention. You do not have to fight for basic respect. You do not have to make yourself smaller just to keep him comfortable. The right man will never make you feel like you are difficult to love. He will make you feel safe, valued, and secure. Now, let's talk about the emotional trap that keeps you stuck. The trap is this. When he disappears, you start focusing on how to get him back instead of asking why you lost him in the first place. You start thinking, what can I do to make him text me? What can I do to make him miss me? What can I say that will make him respond? And the more you focus on making him reach out, the more you forget that you deserve someone who chooses to show up without being forced. You do not need a strategy to make a man treat you right. You need standards that make the wrong man walk away. That is where your power exists. Your power is not only in your beauty. Your power is not only in your appearance. Your power is not only in being kind, patient, or understanding. Your true power is in your ability to leave situations that do not respect your value. Because the moment you stop being afraid of his absence loses control over you. Let me repeat that because someone needs to truly understand it. The moment you stop fearing his absence stops controlling you. Many women are not actually in love with the man. They are in love with the hope. They are attached to the moments when he acts right. They are attached to his potential and the version of him they believe he can become. And when he disappears, it hurts, not only because you miss him, it hurts because it touches the fear that you are not enough. But you are enough. You are simply giving your love, energy, and care to someone who has not shown that he deserves it. I want you to understand something important. A man's silence does not decide your worth. His silence shows his level of effort. It shows his emotional maturity. It shows what kind of partner he is capable of being at this point in his life. And if he can leave you sitting in confusion and emotional uncertainty, you need to stop creating a fantasy around him as if he is the one. The right person does not leave you feeling empty. The right person does not leave you confused. The right person does not make you question your value. So this is about waking yourself up, not about hating him, not about becoming bitter, not about becoming cold. It is about becoming clear. A clear woman is powerful because she does not beg. A clear woman does not chase someone for the bare minimum. A clear woman does not fight for attention. She recognizes effort and she expects respect. And when you finally accept that his silence is a choice, you can stop making excuses for someone who is showing you exactly how much access to you matters to him. Because once you see the truth clearly, you cannot pretend you do not see it anymore. That is when everything begins to change. Now, let's go deeper. Because if you do not understand what is happening in a man's mind when he pulls away, you will continue reacting emotionally instead of responding with control and wisdom. And when you react from emotion, you often give away your power. You may do things that feel right for a few seconds, but cost you your peace for months. Listen carefully. A man does not always pull away because he suddenly forgot about you. Sometimes he pulls away because he is seeing how much access he can have to you without giving you what you truly deserve. He is watching what you accept. He is noticing what you tolerate. He is seeing how quickly you return. Most importantly, he is discovering whether you have standards or only strong feelings. I know that may sound difficult to hear, but the purpose is not to hurt you. The purpose is to help you understand. People respond based on what they value and respect. Many women stay committed to a man who constantly confuses them. Meanwhile, some men leave when they no longer feel inspired, challenged, or responsible for showing up. This does not mean men do not have emotions. It means people often respond differently when it comes to pressure, effort, and value. Here is the first truth. A man will make time for what he truly values, not just what he says he values, not what he promises when he thinks he may lose you, not what he says when you are upset. What he truly values is revealed through his actions when things are comfortable. When a man is serious about you, he does not forget to check on you. When a man is serious about you, he does not leave you wondering whether you matter to him. When a man is serious about you, he does not disappear for days and act like it is normal, because consistency is not a special gift. Consistency is a requirement. So why does this happen? Because some people want the benefits of a relationship without accepting the responsibility that comes with it. They want the comfort of knowing you are there. They want the confidence that comes from being wanted. They want support when they are struggling. They want affection when they feel lonely. They want attention when they are bored. But they do not want the responsibility of being consistent. And if you allow it, they may continue taking. They may take your time. They may take your energy. They may take your patience. They may take your forgiveness and your kindness. They will continue receiving until you decide that you have given enough. Here is the second truth. Chasing a man does not increase his love for you. In many cases, it reduces his respect for your boundaries. Many women believe, if I show him how much I care, maybe he will care more. But when you continue giving while someone is showing you they are not giving back, you are not proving love. You are showing that you will accept less than you deserve. And that does not motivate someone to step up. It often makes them comfortable because they believe you will always remain available. You become predictable. And when someone believes they can always have access to you without effort, they may stop seeing your presence as something valuable. That is why the more you message, the more he delays. That is why the more you explain yourself, the less he listens. That is why the more you try to repair everything alone, the more he avoids responsibility. Because deep down, he begins thinking, she will still be there whenever I am ready. And that is one of the most dangerous thoughts in any relationship, because it means he sees you as an option instead of a priority. A man who truly values you will not enjoy leaving you confused. A man who genuinely respects you will not make you constantly question your importance or your worth. So if he is comfortable doing that, you need to pay attention. Now, here is another truth. Men often pull away when they do not feel the need to step up and lead. A man becomes stronger when he feels inspired and challenged to become a better version of himself. But he usually feels that when he is with a woman who has standards, confidence, and self-respect, not a woman who threatens him, not a woman who constantly complains, not a woman who begs for attention, a woman who is calm, honest, and strong enough to walk away when she is not being valued. Because a man will not fight to keep something he already believes he owns. If you give him unlimited access to your body, your time, your emotions, your loyalty, your attention, your kindness, and your forgiveness, while he continues to be inconsistent, then what reason does he have to change? The answer is none. He is already receiving everything without having to put in the effort. You need to understand this clearly. A man is not always motivated by what is freely given to him. He is often motivated by what he has to earn and protect. That is why a a man respects a woman who has boundaries. That is why a man notices a woman who does not over-explain herself. That is why a man becomes curious about a woman who does not chase after him, because she becomes valuable again. She becomes someone he can actually lose. Now, some of you may be thinking, what if he is truly going through something? What if he is stressed? What if he is dealing with depression, family problems, or personal struggles? Listen carefully. Life happens. Stress happens. Pain happens. Difficult situations happen. But an emotionally mature man communicates. He can say, I am dealing with something right now. I am not ignoring you. I just need some time to handle things. That simple communication is enough. The problem is not always needing space. The problem is disappearing without respect or explanation. Going silent without caring how it affects you is disrespectful. It is selfish. It shows emotional immaturity. And if you accept that behavior today, you may find yourself accepting even more painful behavior in the future. That is what I want you to understand. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest misunderstandings women have about men. Many women believe that love alone can change a man, but it cannot. A woman's love cannot transform a man who has no desire to improve himself. A woman's patience cannot heal a man who refuses to take responsibility. A woman's loyalty cannot inspire a man who only wants attention and validation. A woman's kindness cannot repair a man who chooses selfish behavior. Love does not change a man by itself. Consequences can, standards can, boundaries can, the possibility of losing someone valuable can, and the respect he has for you can. You need to see this clearly. When a man can go several days without speaking to you, he is showing you where you stand in his life. He is showing you how much your feelings matter to him. He is showing you what kind of person he becomes when things are difficult. The mistake many women make is that they take this information and try to negotiate with it. But you cannot negotiate with someone's character. You cannot argue a man into becoming consistent. You cannot love a man into emotional maturity. You cannot send enough messages to make someone suddenly value you. You cannot cry enough, explain enough, or prove enough to turn someone into the partner you need. I know that hurts because part of you wants to believe that if you just say the perfect words, act the perfect way, or become the perfect woman, he will finally show up. But the truth is simple. If a man truly wants to show up for you, he will make the effort. So, what do you do with this information? You stop taking his silence personally, and you start taking it seriously. You stop reacting emotionally and start observing his actions. You stop chasing and start choosing. Because the moment you stop accepting inconsistency, you finally discover what he truly wants and what he is truly willing to do. In the next part, we will continue with the shift in energy, the power move, and how to regain your confidence without begging, arguing, or losing your dignity. Now we reach the part that separates the women who remain trapped in the same cycle from the women who take their power back. What I am about to explain is simple, but it is not easy. The reason it feels difficult is because it requires you to do the one thing your emotions do not want you to do when you miss him. It requires you to stop reaching out. It requires you to stop checking on him. It requires you to stop chasing him. It requires you to stop treating his silence like an emergency that you have to fix. Here is the power move that changes everything. When a man can disappear for days without speaking to you, you remove your attention, you remove your availability, and you return to your own life as if you were never sitting around waiting for him. Not to play games, not to punish him, not to manipulate his emotions, but to bring balance back, because right now the connection is not balanced. He has the control and you have the anxiety. He has the freedom and you have the fear. He has the comfort and you have the confusion. That is not a healthy relationship. That is an imbalance of power. So what do? You stop feeding the pattern. You stop being the only person keeping the connection alive. Let me explain this in a way you will always remember. A man's attention is like a faucet. He can turn it on when he wants and turn it off when he wants, but your attention is the water. If you keep pouring your energy into his life while he stops giving anything back to yours, you will eventually become empty while he remains comfortable. The first thing you do is become silent too. But listen carefully, because there is a difference between silence that comes from strength and silence that comes from anger. Bitterness is when you stop talking because you hope he notices and feels bad. Strength is when you become quiet because you have already noticed what is happening. You are not doing this to make him jealous. You are not doing this to teach him a lesson. You are doing this because your time matters, your peace matters, your heart matters. You are no longer giving your energy to someone who treats it like something disposable. Now, this is where many women make mistakes. They become silent for a few hours, then they give in. They stop talking for one day, then they send a message saying, "Hey, stranger." They stay quiet for a weekend, then they post something online hoping he notices. They stop contacting him, but emotionally they are still chasing him. That is not real power. That is only pretending to be strong. If you want this to truly change, you have to be genuine. You have to stay consistent. You have to stay grounded. The purpose is to change the entire energy. You are no longer begging for attention. You are no longer accepting inconsistent behavior. You are no longer the only person carrying the relationship. The second part of this power move is learning to stop over-explaining your needs. Women often want to explain everything. You want him to understand your feelings. You want him to understand your heart. You want him to know how his silence affects you. And normally, wanting to communicate is a good thing, but it becomes harmful when you are dealing with someone who already knows what they are doing. A man who truly cares does not need a long speech to understand that he should treat you with respect. A man who values you does not need a detailed explanation to know that consistency matters. A man who respects your presence does not need several paragraphs to remember that you exist. The more you explain, the more it can look like you are trying to convince someone that you deserve basic effort. And that is a position you should not have to be in. So instead of explaining, you improve yourself. Instead of begging, you detach. Instead of chasing, you make a choice. The third part of this power move is creating distance without creating drama. No angry messages, no long emotional recordings, no saying, "I guess you do not care about me." No saying, "I am done with you forever." No blaming, no emotional outbursts. Because emotional explosions often give him a distraction. They allow him to focus on your reaction instead of his behavior. Then suddenly the conversation is no longer about him disappearing. It becomes about you being too emotional or too difficult. Do not give him that opportunity. Become calm, become quiet, become focused, become unavailable to disrespect. That is when the shift happens. Many people think tears will make someone change, but often people respond more strongly when they experience consequences. They notice when access changes. They notice when comfort disappears. They notice when the person who was always available is no longer waiting. Right now, he may feel comfortable because he knows you are there. He knows you will answer. He knows you will respond. He knows you will forgive. So you remove the comfort, not through threats, but through your absence. When you stop reaching out, he loses the constant reassurance he was receiving. When you stop sending messages, he loses the emotional safety net. When you stop checking in, he loses the feeling that he controls the connection. And when someone loses that control, they begin to think. They start wondering what changed. They start becoming curious. They start remembering your value. But understand this clearly. He should not miss you because you begged him to stay. He should notice your absence because you stopped accepting less than you deserve. Your silence becomes stronger than all the words you used to say.